Hello friends, welcome to the Tech Protein. So in the last video we have seen the importance of an IP address. Okay, so in this particular session we will see we'll get some more information about an IP address. Okay, so friends, before jumping to the actual topic, let us first understand what is an address. Okay, so let us build an analogy here. Consider you are standing on one side of the road, okay, and some of your friends are standing on the other side of the road, right? Consider I am Dharanjay and I want to talk to one of my friends, okay? So consider I want to talk to Nitin on the other side of the road. So what I would be doing standing here would be to call Nitin by his name, right? So consider your friend is standing on the other side, you will just call him by his name, right? Hey Nitin, can you look at me, right? So the moment I call the person by his name, the only person with the name Nitin would look at me, right? So this is where I have called Nitin in person, right? So in the same way, consider you have, say, 4 computers connected to each other using a network device. Consider switch, and these 4 computers want to now communicate with each other, right? So when it comes to computer networks, as we call a person by his name, so on the computer network, a computer connects to other computer on the network using an IP address. Okay, so IP address plays a very important role while talking to any other system on the network, right? So friends, before we jump into the topic of IP addressing, let us first understand what is addressing. Okay, so let me talk more about addressing first, and then we will get into the topic of IP addressing. So friends, when we talk about addressing, there are 2 types of addresses which are used while assigning an address. Okay, so consider I have a computer at home, and this computer has a physical as well as a logical address. Okay, so every computer, every device, I would say, consider a mobile phone or a desktop or a laptop, whichever device, network device or a system you buy, there is always an address associated with that. So there is one address which is known as physical address. So this address associated with that system never changes. Okay, so this address is also known as MAC address. Okay, so this address is also known as MAC address. So whenever you buy a mobile phone or a laptop or a desktop, so your network adapter in that particular device will have a physical address associated with that, and that particular physical address is known as MAC address. So MAC stands for Media Access Control Address. Okay, so we'll talk about MAC address in detail in the upcoming session. So first thing which is very important, that every computer or every network device has some physical address associated with that. And when we talk about computers, laptop, desktops or a mobile phone, so there is an address which is known as MAC address associated with that particular device. Okay, so apart from physical address, there is other address that needs to be assigned to a computer, and that address is known as a logical address. So friends, physical address is defined by the manufacturer of that particular device. So as this is defined by the manufacturer, this address is permanently associated with that device. Okay, so it is not something that it's associated with the entire computer, but whatever network component, right, or a network card is installed on that particular system, so that network card possesses this particular physical address, which is also known as MAC address. So friends, this cannot be changed. So when we talk about logical address, the reason calling this address as a logical address is because it can be changed, right? So this address depends on the network you are connecting to. Consider you have a laptop, you are at home, and your system at home may get an IP address which is different from an IP address assigned in the office network. Okay, so the laptop is the same, but when you connect to internet from your home network, then your home network, the device, the access point connected at your home may assign a different address to your laptop, which differs from the address assigned in the office network. So this is a logical address, and it keeps changing as per the need. Okay, so logical address is nothing but your IP address. So when we talk about addressing, there are two types of addressing available. First is physical addressing, second one is logical addressing, right? So the physical address assigned to any computer is known as MAC address. Logical address assigned to the computer is known as the IP address. So now consider MAC address. So it looks something like this: 0044 2A 3B 1C 49. Consider this is an example of MAC address. So it's a 6-field address. Okay. Talking about IP addressing, this IP address, now I'll first take an example of IPv4. So I'm just taking a sample logical address, the IP address, just for your understanding. So this particular address is represented in decimal format. So friends, here you can see A, B, C letters like this. So you can understand that MAC address is specified in hexadecimal format or hex notation. So if you want to specify a MAC address, you need to use hexadecimal notation. And when we talk about IP addressing, then we use decimal notation. So there is no ABCD, something like that in this particular address. Okay, so IP address is represented using decimal notation. Other important point that you have understood is that physical address can't be changed. Okay, so this address cannot be changed, but IP address can be changed. So friends, when I say cannot be changed, so I mean to say by the end user. If it is the original equipment manufacturer of that particular network device or the computer itself, the manufacturer can change this address, but the end user cannot change. But when it comes to logical address, anybody can change the logical address of the end computer. So friends, I hope you got a clear understanding that addressing is of two types: physical addressing, logical addressing. Physical addressing is known as MAC address, logical address is known as IP address. These are the examples of MAC address and IP address. MAC address is represented in hexadecimal notation. IP address is mentioned using decimal notation. So IP address now has two versions, IP version 4 and IP version 6. So we'll discuss more about IPv4 and IPv6 in the upcoming video. So friends, I hope you understood the concept of addressing now. See you in the next session. This is Dhananjay. Stay tuned.